This video is addressing the McKenzie extension protocol, and this is the most basic form of the protocol. It addresses disc pathology and disc derangement. The differences are with a disc, a bulge means that it has actually bulged up out of the joint, whereas a derangement may be more of like a crack or a fissure. Both of them, the goal is to push the disc back into position and to create a scar over where the bulge or the disc derangement is. Not all bulges and disc derangements are created the same. They can be different shapes and ultimately end up on a nerve root. So if you have your bulge or your disc or your derangement, it may be straight posterior, it may be off to the side, it may be more of a T shape, or it may be more like a Y. So that can give the clinician cues into adding a side bend into the McKenzie extension. If you have a radiculopathy associated with it, or just pain, typically the pain is 24/7, whereas the radiculopathy may be more positionally relevant. So the ultimate goal is that we're going to be pushing that disc bulge in or pushing that fissure together to create a scar. You have to avoid as much sitting and flexion as possible during this program, or you will be continually opening up that fissure or pushing that disc back out without laying down the scar. So first thing in the morning, you're going to flip over on your belly before you even get up out of bed and just lay there and allow for some of that fluid to be squished out that was formed all night. That's when your discs are the most full, is in the morning. Gravity hasn't been acting on your disc all day to squish that fluid out. If you're like me, you may live in a lot of extension already, so having a pillow under your pelvis may be really helpful in doing these stationary positions, or even when you start to do your extensions. Not everyone needs a pillow. After you've laid on your belly for 5 to 10 minutes, you're going to start doing some low amplitude presses. Let's start with 5 to 10. You go to the very edge of pain or the very edge of discomfort and lower down back to your belly. Return to a laying position to see if that pain is decreasing, the radiculopathy is decreasing. If it increases a little bit during the extensions, but then fizzles out while you lay still, you're in an okay range. But if the pain doesn't reduce or your radiculopathy doesn't change or increases, then either your amplitude was too big or your reps and sets are too much. So throughout the day, you're going to be doing this belly laying and these extensions every hour. So let's say by lunchtime, you're able to almost get your elbows straight. And then maybe within a couple days, you're pushing up to your maximum range with every rep and set. If you can get up to this maximum range, you can do an inhale, exhale to further your extension, or do stationary holds here. Again, your goal is 72 hours without pain or radiculopathy. 3 days is a long time, but that's going to ensure that you've laid down a scar in the correct position. The other key point of doing the McKenzies is starting to turn on your stability of your core again. These can be done in supine or prone. So just laying on your belly, you're going to engage your core to perform a pelvic tilt and then relax. And you can do them in supine. Your goal here is to be pulling your rib cage down to your pelvis, creating a big barrel belly rather than sucking your belly button toward your spine, and create that barrel. So again, 72 hours asymptomatic. You need to be doing these reps and sets every hour that you're awake, making sure that you're laying on your belly periodically if you're in pain or your radiculopathy is increasing, and being careful with how fast you progress your range of your extensions.